If you allow fear to dictate your thoughts, feelings, and decisions, you surrender your power to it. Fear then becomes the master of your life, chaining your potential, your dreams, and your joy. It whispers limitations into your mind, convincing you that you are not ready, not strong enough, and not worthy enough. In this state, you're no longer living free, but reacting to the confines that fear imposes on you. It robs you of the courage to take risks, the clarity to see opportunities, and the strength to pursue your deepest desires. Even though your heart knows you can, you become a slave to the voice that whispers, "You can't." What is fear, truly? Is it just a natural response to danger, or does it run deeper, entangled in the threads of our psyche? Fear often arises not from the present moment, but from our attachments, our clinging to ideas, cherished memories, and visions of the future. It springs from the thought of losing something we hold dear, a loved one, a possession, or even the image we have of ourselves. Take, for example, someone who fears losing their job. The fear isn't solely about the paycheck. It's rooted in what the job represents: stability, self-worth, and a sense of belonging in society. This attachment weaves a web of dependency, and when that web feels threatened, fear grows louder, feeding on the unknown and magnifying its grip on our hearts. Fear, then, is not just about external circumstances. It is a mirror reflecting our inner longings and insecurities, calling us to question what we're truly holding on to and whether letting go might set us free. But many people try to run away from fear instead of striving to be free from it. Running from fear may feel like a refuge, a temporary escape from its grip, but it's an illusion. The moment you flee, fear doesn't disappear. It hides in the corners of your mind, growing stronger with each step you take away from it. It lingers, waiting to resurface, haunting your decisions and limiting your growth. Running might grant a fleeting sense of safety, but it traps you in a cycle of avoidance, where fear becomes the unspoken master of your life. Each time you run, you lose an opportunity to face fear and strip it of its power. The more you avoid it, the larger it looms, until it infiltrates every aspect of your being, turning you into a shadow of the person you could be. But here's the truth. Fear must be confronted eventually. It is an inevitable companion on the journey of growth. So why not face it now? Confronting fear today is an act of liberation. It allows you to reclaim your power, rediscover your courage, and take control of your destiny. By choosing to deal with fear instead of running, you step onto the path of becoming the fullest, most authentic version of yourself. Fear acts as a gatekeeper to your dreams. But why is fear always a barrier to what you want in life, you may wonder? Because anything truly meaningful demands you to grow, transform, and evolve. If your dreams and desires were effortless to achieve, they wouldn't challenge you to expand beyond your comfort zones or discover the strength and resilience you hold within. Growth is inherently uncomfortable. It asks you to face uncertainty, to risk failure, and to let go of old versions of yourself. This discomfort is precisely what gives your dreams their value. The struggle to achieve them imbues them with meaning, teaching you lessons, and shaping you into the person you're meant to become. Like a seed pushing through soil to reach the sunlight, you must confront resistance to bloom into your fullest potential. Fear is not your enemy. It's a signal that you're on the edge of transformation, standing at the threshold of something greater. Think back to the time you learned to ride a bicycle as a child. At first, fear loomed large, the fear of falling, of scraping your knees, of failing. But then, something shifted. As you placed your feet on the pedals and focused on balancing, steering, and moving forward, that fear began to fade. Your mind stopped replaying imagined tumbles or worrying about what might happen next. Instead, you were fully immersed in the moment, feeling the wind, the rhythm of your motion, and the freedom of movement. Fear, you see, thrives in the domains of time. It feeds on the past, reminding you of old wounds, or it leaps into the future, painting pictures of suffering that hasn't even occurred. But in the present moment, fear struggles to survive. When you anchor your awareness in now, fear loses its grip. The act of living in the present dissolves the imaginary foundations of fear, replacing them with clarity, action, and peace. Fear is not just a psychological state, it has deep spiritual significance. In many spiritual traditions, fear is seen as a byproduct of your ego, a voice that keeps you bound to comfort and familiarity. The ego resists change because it equates the unknown with danger. However, spiritual growth demands that you venture beyond what is known and comfortable. In the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna faces crippling fear on the battlefield. He is paralyzed at the prospect of fighting a war against his own relatives and teachers. Krishna, his spiritual guide, urges him to rise above his fear by recognizing his higher purpose. Krishna explains that fear is an illusion tied to the material world, and that true liberation comes from aligning with one's higher self. Similarly, in Christian teachings, Jesus often tells his disciples, "Fear not," emphasizing trust in divine providence. Fear is seen as a lack of faith, a distraction from the truth that we are always supported by the divine. These teachings remind you that fear is not your true nature. Your essence is love, courage, and infinite potential. To transcend fear is to reconnect with this divine truth. Crossing to the other side of fear aligns beautifully with the concept of non-attachment found in many spiritual traditions. Non-attachment doesn't mean being cold or uncaring. Rather, it is a profound acceptance of life's impermanence. It is the wisdom to understand that everything, possessions, relationships, even your identities, is fleeting. By embracing this truth, you cultivate an inner peace that is no longer tethered to the ups and downs of the external world. Imagine a river winding its way through a rocky landscape. It doesn't fight the obstacles it encounters. It doesn't cling to the rocks or despair over their presence. Instead, the river flows, adapting and finding its way with ease. Non-attachment invites you to live like that river, letting go of the need to control or hold on to things that are impermanent. When you flow with life instead of resisting it, fear loses its hold on you. You move forward with grace and courage, free to embrace the fullness of the journey. Going to the other side of fear requires observing your fear without judgment or resistance. When you try to fight or suppress fear, you inadvertently fuel it, giving it greater control over your thoughts and actions. It is only when you view fear as a natural and temporary experience, like a passing storm, that you allow it to flow through you and lose its grip. Take, for example, preparing for a driving test. As the moment approaches, you might feel your heart race, your hands tremble, and your breath quicken. These sensations can easily be interpreted as signs of weakness or inadequacy. But what if instead you paused and observed them without resistance? You might realize, this is just my body preparing me for a challenge, sharpening my focus and alertness. By accepting these feelings as natural responses to stress rather than obstacles, you free yourself from the weight of self-criticism. This shift in perspective transforms fear from an enemy to a companion. It becomes a signal, not a barrier, one that you can acknowledge, understand, and move through. By observing fear with patience and acceptance, you maintain clarity and poise, allowing yourself to rise to the occasion and perform at your best. Overcoming fear is, at its core, about achieving freedom, the kind of freedom that arises from within, unshackling you from the psychological structures that perpetuate fear. This freedom doesn't depend on external changes or circumstances. It comes from a deeper self-awareness and a willingness to question the beliefs that fuel your fears. Take, for example, the fear of failure. Society often ties failure to inadequacy, feeding you a narrative that mistakes define your worth. This belief creates immense pressure to succeed and paralyzes you with fear when success feels uncertain. But what if you paused to question this societal norm? What if failure wasn't a verdict on your value, but a stepping stone to growth and self-discovery? By redefining failure as a natural and valuable part of learning, you release the power it holds over you. This shift liberates you from the fear of falling short, allowing you to pursue your goals with curiosity and courage rather than dread. True freedom lies in this ability to rewrite the narratives that constrain you, transforming fear from a barrier into a bridge to growth and possibility. Moving through fear is a process that begins with awareness and unfolds with intentional action. Here's how you can take practical steps to transform fear into a catalyst for growth. Recognize and name the fear. The first step is acknowledgement. Ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Fear of failure, rejection, or uncertainty? By naming your fear, you strip it of its mystique and see it for what it is, a feeling, not an absolute truth. This clarity allows you to face it more rationally. Reframe fear as a guide. Instead of treating fear as a stop sign, view it as a signpost. Fear often surfaces when you're on the brink of something meaningful. When it arises, remind yourself, this is the edge of my comfort zone. Beyond this is growth. This perspective transforms fear into an ally rather than an obstacle. Break it down. Fear can feel paralyzing when viewed as one massive, insurmountable block. Break your goal into smaller, manageable steps. For instance, if you fear starting a business, start with simple actions, researching your idea, drafting a plan, or seeking advice. Tackling one piece at a time makes the journey less intimidating. Cultivate faith. Faith is the antidote to fear. Whether it's faith in yourself, the process, or a higher power, trust that you're supported. Faith helps you see challenges as opportunities to grow rather than threats to avoid. It fosters resilience and optimism in the face of uncertainty. Spiritual practices. Spiritual practices like meditation, conscious breathing, or grounding exercises can anchor you in the present moment. Fear thrives on past regrets and future anxieties, but mindfulness helps you stay focused on what you can do now. Visualize success. Spend time vividly imagining yourself on the other side of fear. Picture the joy, fulfillment, and pride you'll feel when you achieve your goal. This mental rehearsal strengthens your resolve and aligns your energy with your desires, making the path forward clearer and more motivating. Everything you want is on the other side of fear is a profound spiritual truth. Fear is not just an obstacle, it's both a test and a teacher. It asks you to evolve, to trust yourself, and to embrace the divine potential that lies within you. When you choose to face your fears, you embark on a journey toward freedom, joy, and a deeper sense of purpose. Step boldly and let fear become the path to your dreams. If this message resonates with you, I encourage you to like the video and subscribe to the channel. I sincerely appreciate you spending your time here.